Before your next flight, there are a few places on the airplane you should think twice about touching. According to flight attendants, some of the dirtiest surfaces on a commercial aircraft contain more bacteria than many travelers would ever imagine. And they're the same surfaces you probably touch on every single flight. In this video, you'll discover the airplane hotspots flight attendants quietly avoid themselves, why these areas rarely get properly cleaned, and the simple steps you can take to protect your health the next time you fly. Every time you settle into your airplane seat, adjust the tray table, and reach for the seat back pocket, you are touching surfaces that harbor more bacteria than most people would ever want to know about. The image of a clean, freshly prepared aircraft is one that airlines work hard to maintain, but flight attendants who spend thousands of hours in the air have a very different perspective. These are the men and women who watch the cleaning crews rush through cabins in under 20 minutes between flights, who see what passengers leave behind, and who quietly avoid touching certain surfaces themselves. Their insider knowledge paints a picture that is both eye-opening and deeply important for anyone who travels regularly. The reality of airplane cleanliness is not something the aviation industry advertises, but the truth has a way of coming out, and flight attendants have been increasingly willing to share what they know. From the tray table to the lavatory door handle, from the seat pocket to the overhead air vent, there are specific places on every commercial aircraft that accumulate staggering levels of contamination. Understanding where these hotspots are and why they exist can genuinely change how you approach air travel and protect your health in the process. Knowing how to avoid germs and stay healthy while flying is one of the smartest things any traveler can do. Another way many experienced travelers protect themselves is with Safety Wing Travel Insurance, which can help provide peace of mind if unexpected medical issues arise while you're away from home. If there is one surface that consistently tops the list of the dirtiest places on any aircraft, it is the tray table. Flight attendants have spoken openly about witnessing passengers use tray tables for everything imaginable, from changing diapers to resting bare feet. And the cleaning protocols between flights rarely involve anything more than a quick wipe with a cloth that may or may not be properly sanitized. A study conducted by researchers at Auburn University found that the tray table surface carried more than 8 times the bacteria found on a typical toilet flush button. That number alone should give every traveler pause before placing food directly on that surface. The problem is compounded by the fact that cleaning crews are given extremely limited time between flights, sometimes as little as 10 to 15 minutes to clean an entire aircraft, carrying over 150 passengers. In that window, deep cleaning is essentially impossible. Flight attendants have described watching cleaning staff simply fold the tray table back up without wiping it at all, particularly during short turnaround flights. The latch mechanism on the tray table is also frequently overlooked, and since dozens of hands touch it on every single flight, it becomes a concentrated point of bacterial transfer. Carrying your own disinfectant wipes and thoroughly cleaning the tray table before use is not paranoia. It is simply the informed choice that flight attendants themselves make when they sit down in a passenger seat. After hearing what flight attendants know about airplane cleanliness, it's easy to see why experienced travelers prepare for more than just delayed flights and lost luggage. The reality is that no matter how careful you are, you can't control everything that happens while traveling. An unexpected illness, medical emergency, or travel disruption can turn a relaxing trip into a stressful and expensive situation in a matter of hours. That's why many savvy travelers choose Safety Wing Travel Insurance before they leave home. Instead of worrying about the what-ifs, you can focus on enjoying your trip knowing you have an extra layer of protection if something unexpected happens. Think about everything you've invested in your vacation, your flights, hotels, excursions, and most importantly, your health. A small investment in travel insurance can help protect all of it. The most experienced travelers understand that preparation is often the difference between a minor inconvenience and a major financial headache. Before your next trip, click the link below and see if Safety Wing Travel Insurance is right for you. It's one of those things you hope you'll never need, but you'll be very glad you have if you do. The seatback pocket is perhaps the most misunderstood storage space in aviation. Passengers treat it like a personal trash bin, stuffing it with used tissues, half-eaten food, soiled napkins, and items they simply do not want to hold. What makes this particularly alarming is that these fabric pockets are almost never properly cleaned between flights. Unlike hard surfaces that can at least be wiped down, the mesh or fabric material of seat back pockets traps bacteria, food particles, and moisture in ways that are nearly impossible to address during a standard turnaround clean. Flight attendants have shared stories of reaching into seat back pockets during flights and finding used bandages, dirty diapers, and food items that had clearly been there for multiple flights. The pocket essentially becomes a collection point for biological material from countless passengers across many different routes. If you place your phone, your book, or your snacks into that pocket, you are exposing them to a surface that has likely not been properly sanitized in days or possibly weeks. The advice from flight attendants is consistent and clear. Avoid using the seat back pocket entirely if possible. And if you must use it, never place anything in it that you will later bring near your face or mouth. The airplane lavatory is an obvious candidate for contamination concerns, but the specific details reveal just how serious the situation is. The flush button, the door latch, and the faucet handle are touched by every single person who uses the lavatory throughout a flight, and on a long-haul route, that can mean hundreds of contacts before any cleaning occurs. Flight attendants point out that the door lock is particularly problematic because passengers often struggle with it, touching it repeatedly and with significant force, which means more surface contact and more bacterial transfer. What surprises many travelers is that the lavatory floor is considered one of the most contaminated surfaces on the entire aircraft, largely because the confined space and the motion of the aircraft mean that liquids frequently end up where they should not. Beyond the lavatory, the headrest cover is another surface that flight attendants consistently flag as deeply concerning. These fabric covers are changed infrequently, and the oils, hair products, and skin cells from previous passengers remain present on the surface. The overhead air vent, while it does circulate filtered air, has a nozzle that passengers touch to adjust direction, and that nozzle is rarely, if ever, cleaned between flights. The seatbelt buckle is another high-contact surface that receives almost no attention during turnaround cleaning, yet every passenger on every flight touches it multiple times. Understanding that these surfaces exist in a state of accumulated contamination across many flights helps explain why so many travelers report getting sick after flying. The most telling evidence of how seriously flight attendants take these contamination concerns is found in their own personal habits and routines. Many veteran flight attendants carry their own disinfectant wipes and use them immediately upon sitting in any passenger seat during their travels. They avoid touching their faces during flights, wash their hands with particular thoroughness after handling passenger items, and are extremely cautious about what they eat and drink during service. Some flight attendants have shared that they never drink the hot water served on aircraft, including tea and coffee, because the water tanks on many planes are notoriously difficult to clean and have been found to contain elevated levels of bacteria in independent testing. The Environmental Protection Agency conducted testing that found coliform bacteria in the water systems of a significant percentage of commercial aircraft tested, which is a category of bacteria associated with fecal contamination. Flight attendants who know this information make deliberate choices about what they consume in the air. They also tend to keep their personal items off the floor at all times, use their own blankets or pillows rather than the ones provided, and are careful about which surfaces they allow their skin to contact for extended periods. These are not the habits of people who are simply anxious or overly cautious. These are the learned behaviors of professionals who have seen the reality of aircraft cleanliness up close over thousands of hours and have adjusted their behavior accordingly. The good news is that armed with this knowledge, every traveler can adopt the same practical strategies. Bringing disinfectant wipes, avoiding direct contact with high-touch surfaces, washing hands frequently, and being mindful of what goes into the seat back pocket are all simple steps that can meaningfully reduce your exposure to the bacteria and pathogens that accumulate on every commercial flight. The aircraft itself is an extraordinary feat of engineering, but its cleanliness between flights is a limitation that every informed traveler deserves to understand.